Since writing a blog post on how to say no gracefully, I've had a lot of people tell me that's made a big difference for them because they felt that uh, if they didn't say yes to every request, in some way they weren't being amenable, they weren't being a go-giver, if you will. And of course, there's an assumption there that what I would call a false premise that being a go-giver means that you're sort of a hostage to everyone's whims. And that's, of course, not the case at all. There are times in our lives we have to say no. If we didn't, we would be spending our lives doing everything for everyone else at the expense of doing what we needed to do, which turns out to be both for ourselves and for other people. So really, the question isn't do you say no? Well, of course, you have to say no at times when it's appropriate, but the question is, how do you do it gracefully? How do you do it tactfully? How do you do it in such a way that you're letting the other person know that they are of value so that they feel good about themselves? So the first thing you want to do is really, and I'm looking at the camera now because we are at a red light, so I can do that. Is to first just thank that person for thinking of you. Make them understand that you value the fact that they even offered you what they did or asked you, made that request of you. They asked you to serve, and I think in the blog post I gave the example, serving on a committee. That's generic enough. And it's something you really don't want to do. You might feel you don't have the time. You might feel you don't have the expertise, what have you. But what you don't want to do is really give the reasons, because you don't really have to give a reason to say no. You just need to very politely and kindly and tactfully say no. So for example, you start out by thanking them. Thank you so much, I really appreciate that. What a great honor to know that you would want me to serve in that position. Now you're going to let them know that it's not a decision that you're going to make. So you might say, although I it's not something I choose to do, I do thank you for the honor, or I do thank you for thinking of me. The key is that while you were polite and gracious, you didn't make an excuse. You didn't give a reason. You didn't say, I don't have time, or I don't have the expertise, or I don't know if I can, what have you. Because if you do that, the person's then going to answer that objection. Well, it's not going to take really too much. Whoops, sorry. Shouldn't have been looking at the camera. And so they're going to answer the objection and tell you why time isn't a problem. Well, because it only is going to take this amount of time. Or, well, don't worry about the lack of experience. We're there to help you. And, then if they answer it sufficiently, you're kind of in a position where you've either got to say yes or admit that really wasn't the real reason. And that's, it's uncomfortable. So you don't want to give them an excuse or a specific objection, because you don't want them having what I call anything to grab onto. So again, all you're doing is you're acknowledging them and thanking them profusely. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I really appreciate it. What a great honor to know that you'd like me to do that. And then you say, well, it's not something I choose to do. And don't say for now, because then it's, well, when will you? And then that's, again, something to answer. So as tempting as it is to do that, stay away from that. And just say, well, it's not something I choose to do. Again, I really do thank you for the honor. Now, if they come back anyway and try to guilt you, and guilt is really a form of manipulation. If they try to guilt you, oh, come on, we really need you to do that, or, oh, well, but it's for the children, or it's, something that they're using as then what you just say, again, is simply, no, I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for asking. That's just the decision I've made. But again, I really do appreciate it. And so again, you're giving them nothing to hang on to, and at that point, they're most likely going to say, "Oh, okay, well, thanks," or whatever. But that's the key. Now, here's the great thing. If they try to do the same thing again with you, and you need to say no, do the exact same thing. I guarantee you, from personal experience and from those I know who've used this in their own lives, they won't ask you again. Or if they do ask you for something again, and there's never anything wrong with being asked, and sometimes it is appropriate to say yes, but if they ever do ask you again and you say no the way that you do it, they're not going to keep trying, because they know that you have enough respect for yourself to stand by your decision. I'm Bob Burke. Make it a great week.